Hey everybody, Asher here, and welcome back to Roadwarden, where we are still at the Ape Ale Inn. This is a game that, obviously, I've been enjoying a lot. I appreciate you all being here, and although this may not get as many views as some of the other series on the channel, this is a game that I value, and I'm just really enjoying it so far. So if you do want to leave a comment just with your thoughts about the game, or leave a like or whatever, that's cool, but I just appreciate you all being here too. So let's dive down into it. We've kind of made a weird, funky question mark. I guess Havelven will be down there, but we're still at Howler's Dell, and we had a very long chat with Theus, the mayor, and honestly, Kiera here does have some people. Let's see, we have actually not any info on Theus. She wanted to talk about anything but herself, and that's always suspicious. So we have Erix and Akakios to talk to as well. And it's getting closer to the end of the day. Again, let's go to him first. The man behind the counter is inspecting a sack of white flour, mumbling to himself and occasionally cursing. Sounds familiar. The other locals walk away, giving you space to talk and trade in peace. Weevils! He points at a dark little blue insect that is trying to flee. Shit me fire! 'Twas ground a few days ago, and the pies for us tomorrow, looks like. He puts a sack on the ground. I'll take care of it later. A Roadwarden, aye? Ever the mayor cared enough to see you, and kids are lining up to look at your horse. Strangers are like ghosts to them now. So that's an interesting detail here. He's wearing a simple brown robe with no hood, a rope instead of a belt, and a modest trim made of green thread. It barely reaches below the knees, revealing his sandals and crude pants made of linen. At the same time, it's way too large for him, and it hangs from him like a bag. Note the difference between what he's wearing and what we saw the mayor wearing last time. He looks like a poor vendor from Havelven. He stands sideways to you with legs crossed, leaning on a counter with one hand and keeping the other one on his hip. He's around 40, short and a bit greasy with a humble beard and hair. His fingers are unusually long. I'll be friendly with him. You're a trader, I assume? I guess we'll see each other often then. For a trader? For you, a trader? Ah, for my neighbors, the treasurer. Name's Akakios. Everyone brings here what they have in abundance, and I either sell it to the travelers or divide it among the workers, builders, artisans. These things here are not mine. He runs his eyes over the crates and barrels. But I can show you our wares if you want, but do not ask me for better prices just because you're a traveler. I need to explain myself and every deal I make, or Theus will laugh at me all the way to the pyre. So we have potentially goods to sell. Do we have goods to sell? It's been a little while. We have a few things here. I don't know how much of this he's going to want. He might want the crossbow for all I know. What can you tell me about Asterion? That ever though he was here more than once, he didn't leave much behind. Smelly hoarder. He looks around and spits on the ground. At least he bought a blade from me. Sure, 'twas a special one, a sickle sword with a tip wider than 'twas the grip. Long as from fingertips to shoulder, and a sword and a knife, single edge, brought his own steel to melt for it. So what's it good for? Fencing? More like cutting bushes, creepers, roots. It will fell a tree. But 'tis a fine tool. He nods to a passerby, but his smile disappears as quickly as it had shown up. Pathfinders use it. My pa used to have one as well. He chopped nuts with it. Nuts and mufflins. So he took it to the wilderness. He shrugs. Ah, pretty much anywhere. There are hills from here to the coast, and the bogs to the north, and the heart of the woods. Can I help you with it? So, I guess we could ask for a job. No, what? There is something urgent. I need a medicament for my daughter. If she's running hurt or anything. He raises in his open palms as if to show he's not holding a knife. She's a teen, wants to start hunting in the woods. I cannot teach her much, but I'll sleep better with her having a healing potion. You have, he hesitates. Almost 7 days. Bring me the potion before last dusk, and I'll pay you 5 dragon rings. Alright. Well, where would we find such a potion? I can think of 2 places. The safer bet is Old Pagos on the mountain, the crazy monks. Crazy and boring, more boring than a mufflin. I lost the original voice I had for him, so apologies there. But they often brew with Pneuma. You can also head south, east of the crossroads behind Pelt to the north. I've never been there myself, but you'll find a dolmen there as old as the city, and this, he reaches for his clinking pouch and pulls out a massive iron key, is meant to open some secret passage there. Well, how do you know about the secret? From a merchant. She's from south of Hag Hills. I was meant to pass the key to her friend, but she never showed up. So you've been keeping the key at your side ever since? I kept it with my trinkets and coins, that's all. We were planning to go there for years, but it is one of the things that you talk about. Now do it. His brief laughter turns into a cough. Well, let's look for it then. So, looking for that. Anything else? Goods to sell. Surprise me, the troll bone tablet. Nice work! But do you got any for a stylus sword? I guess I could change the wax or a green one. Make it a bit prettier. Want to leave it here for 2 rings? I could use the money. I think I'm actually broke right now. And we learned what that tablet already says. Like if we look here, you are asked to read its contents. It's a farewell letter addressing Valens from White Marshes. So we know what's on there. Deal. So journal now. Quest, read the letter. I sold the tablet before I spoke with its owner. Well, hopefully that isn't a problem too much. But we'll see. He gestures you to gather your things. This junk does not interest me. We're looking for what we can to maybe make by ourselves. Like iron or enchanted items. Maybe next time? So, hey, I really feel like I made the wrong decision, and I have the urge to reload. We're not going to do it, though. So, other than food and stuff, what else do you have? 'Tis hard to say. What do travelers need? He clears his throat and turns away to have a look at his store. While some of the crates and barrels are empty, they carry around an assortment of odds and ends. Tools made of wood and stone, pots, mugs, seeds, vegetables, fabric. It takes him a few minutes to look through the wares. He puts 3 packages on the countertop as he unwraps the first one. You recognize it by the shape alone. Tell me this nay a beauty, he chuckles, and lets you hold the shiny axe. The haft is long, but the head is light. I know what you're thinking. Your eyes say everything. He praises the weapon loudly, but you barely listen to him. You see your reflection in the unusual blade, as sharp as they get. You're not a smith, but you see not a spot of rust. When you take a swing, it hardly takes any effort. The leather straps holding the pieces together are just decoration. The handle is as smooth as glass and perfectly fits into your hand. The man chuckles. You like it? Aye, now I doubt you can afford it, but do not worry. That's not all I have. His long fingers tap against parchment windows and a lantern. Oh, a lantern. Its frame is cheap made of oak. 'Tis glued and 'tis quiet, he says while shaking the air. Not as fancy as the iron ones with oil, but you can carry it in caves without luring all the corpse eaters and goblins. Perfect, traveler. Just take a look. Inside the lantern, you find a place for a candle. Not a great match for people living in wooden houses. Hide and glue, not easy to make, but I will not ask for more than 4 rings. The last sack is as wide as a saddle and 3 hands tall. It contains a whole bunch of undyed linen sheets. We usually keep them for traders, but we could use a few dragon rings, and who knows if there's going to be another caravan. Interested? So, we definitely are going to need that lantern. We were definitely broke. So, I feel terrible, but maybe just tell... The guy only asked me to tell him the message. He didn't ask for the tablet back. So, I'm panicking. I'm panicking in my head, but let's talk to Eric's instead. Yeah, that'll be fine. Even though the counter stands outdoors, it's not rotten or dirty, and you guess like the other furniture, it's brought inside every night. Eric's approaches you with a smile and leans on the surface with his fist. He's portly and even taller than his neighbors. He's got freckles, gray hair, and an elegant beard. His long wooden orange tunic has decorative cut right under the neck, and loose braids at the edges. How can I help you, traveler? His accent is heavy, nothing like his wife's. Well, apparently I didn't do a very good accent. He stomps with a heavy boot and looks around as if he's just waiting to get back to other tasks. His fingers are still dirty from weeding the garden. Well, we do have a few things here. I'm looking for a few hunters. He rums his back. I recognize those names, but I've seen nae folks from creeks in a long time. They come here before and after the winter to trade for grains. So what about rooms here? Sure thing, he nods. My kids keep it cleaner than you'll find in the city. Just tell me when you're ready. Rumors? Well, okay, shit. That was a double click from the mouse, which is very exciting. I keep them in the hall. Smoked mutton, sacks of dried fruits. Coins are not worth much. He thinks his lips move well. Let's say 1 ring, enough food to fill you for 2 days. In Hovlevan, that kind of price will buy you 3, even 4 times as much food. If you're in a mood for spending, I also have something special. 'Tis a teeth set. You're afraid of what it's going to show you, but when he opens the box, you realize he meant teeth cleaning. See, salt, cloves, and mint. You mix whatever you want here, and forth holds only a small pestle made with polished stone. And here are the twigs you need. They last for months. Seeing you're not convinced, he takes a deep breath. Well, we do not let outsiders bathe in the creek. But give me 2 dragons and I'll ask my kids to get you in shape. You get a tub with a soap and rose oil and they'll wash your clothes in the water. I'll cook you something nice as much as you can eat. So show me the rations first. So we do have 1 set of rations right now. We are full. We are not going to do bath and a dinner. Have you had any interesting... So, no rumors. Maybe you've heard about someone who may need my help. Oh, gosh. Ask him about work sometime tomorrow. Any interesting guests recently? I don't know. There is one vagabond, but he was not here long and did not do too much. A timid fellow talks loudly, is afraid of everything, especially the guards. His face is touched by flames. Had a big ballista. Well, that's exciting. He says this word with a strange accent, smirking. And a large bird of a beast of burden. I don't know what else to say. He went south and is most likely gone. Well, that's very exciting. Well, thanks. Okay, so that's these people. There's Bion the tailor and the local priest as well. It's too late to ask the locals for work. That's probably true. Let's go to the local priest. You head south to the dead tree. I don't know where the dead tree is here. But there is a dead tree somewhere. Before you get to the second thatched building, a large man stands up from the bench and gets in your way. He's close to 50, taller than most people you've seen in your life, broad-shouldered. His hair and short beard are brown, matching his elegant woolen robe. A thick club is attached to his right wrist with a leather strap, and his sandals are by a sitting spot. Many want to speak to our guides and teachers, he speaks with a solemn, strong voice. But you're not welcome here. Turn back, stranger. So, can I know why, or... You know what, I'm just going to introduce myself. I'm your Roadwarden. Yeah, and you know, I probably shouldn't have done that, because they had a bad experience with Roadwardens before. His harsh look softens. We can handle ourselves. If that changes, Elpis will summon you. Well, can I know why? You can. He swings his polished heavy weapon. You're from the outside and cannot be trusted. The boars and slaves of the United Church would crush us if they had a chance. Before we allow you to spy on us, we need to be sure it's worth it. I could say I'm not a spy, but that's exactly what a spy would say. I don't want to cause any trouble. He shrugs. Travelers bring their problems onto others. Their will means nothing. So I turn back. The druids don't want to see me. What about buy-in? Oh, there's that house. You follow the guard's directions to reach a small whitewashed building standing in the western bank near a small garden of flowers and herbs. It's kept well clean in the plain beaten front yard, and parts covered with sand. Though the open windows, you catch a glance of furniture made of smooth, almost shiny wood, and hints of dark cherry-like red decorated with carvings and plants. A woman in her 40s is sitting on a wooden bench. The table is covered with fabrics, threads, and needles made from bone and iron. She's sewing a long sleeve to what's going to become a blue tunic. Her movements are quick and confident. Her brown, wavy, shoulder-length hair is tied to a wreath-like braid, but other than that, her clothes are simple and inconspicuous. She does not have a left leg, but you don't notice any cane. Well, that's an important detail. You observe her for a few moments until, without sparing you as much as a glance, she encourages you to speak with a grunt. I'm looking for a tailor. Well, that's a dumb thing to say. Clearly, this is a tailor. You found... Oh, sweet. You found one. Her voice is low. She doesn't stop her work. Name's Bion. Okay, so our Gabson actually doesn't really need work. Interested in some new clothes. A couple of questions of boredom, and her voice is palpable when saying, I want to ask some questions. I'm not a bard. She stops her work and looks at you briefly. Ah, I can tell you want to buy some clothes. You don't hear a hint of mockery, but it's a lot of work, and I do not take my work lightly. If I were to give you anything, people would see it, and then I let you show them some rags. And by that you mean your prices are high. You reach for her pouch, and she answers with a nod. It takes me a day or so to finish, and a fine fabric. Your city clothes are just fine for wilderness, I guess. But what I'll give you is for the time with the lamb meat and mead and the pathfinding. The longer the outfit you want, the higher the price, though I'll consider the things people say about you as well. So we can just... Oh, shit, those prices. Okay, we have 2 monies. We are leaving. Okay, well, Back to the main square. Leave the square. We have left. You know, I think that means we're done here. So we could potentially go west from here. This path is blocked by a pebbler. Or we could go south. I guess west is best for now. Alright, the path gets greener and meanders between treacherous precipices. You ride slowly, passing by birds and ibixes, but in the distance you spot circling harpies, and below you a roaming mountain... Oh shit, a mountain cat pursuing a mufflin. You take a sip of your water skin, the air here is a bit dry. Let's hope the echo of the hooves won't reach any of the larger beasts. The path leads you down again to a small, moist valley impenetrable for a rider. The thicket is made of thorny shrubs, tall grasses, and weak fallen boughs that nourish mosses and mushrooms. You examine the remnants of the path covered with greenish puddles. Without the roots and with the fresh layer of pebbles, it may still be restored. You look behind you. The road is cleared, no ambushes so far, but if you hope to clear this place, you better do it soon. It'll only get denser with the passage of days. We have a few hours left. We have a lot of vitality. I'll get this done in half the time. Let's see if we can cut time here. Oh, shit. That was a... Well, we're already pretty dirty. Our armor's a little worse. We're hungry now. Oh, well, there we go. But we did it faster. Your muscles, not used to such tiring work, grow tired quickly, but you don't let yourself take a break. Soon you push yourself even more from annoyance than anything. And only after you're done, you notice the torn parts of your pants and sleeves. When it comes to pushing aside the bows, you breathe heavily, but you need only enough space to let your palfrey get through. Maybe animals will start to roam this place again, so we are through. You reach a convenient mountain pass with crags smoothed out by centuries of rain and wind. The sun warms up both the vegetation and the beaten road, and the only beast you spot are loud rooks, glancing at you from the rocks and branches. Clearing the rock slide. Okay. Clearing the rock slide would take hours of work, and a large group of people, while forcing Sodal to climb up and down, could break its legs. So we spent all of that effort. Okay, once again, can I get a reload, please? I've made some very terrible decisions so far. Let's stop and look around. You climb up the rocks, having plenty of spots to rest your hands. Most of them won't even move an inch. You get closer to a small dead tree. You notice something odd among the stones. A piece of old fabric completely covered with mold. Most likely the remains of a tunic. Well, let's travel. If we go the other way, how much time do we have left in the day? 2 hours and 15 minutes. There's a lot of places we can't make it, but let's at least see here. Since we're blocked by a rock slide, we can't go this way. Let's go down here. As you slow down among the shrubs, a small pack of dragonlings is feasting on the carcass of a gray auroch. One of them, with red feathers in its arm, straightens up and gives you a curious glance. Its head tilts left and right, forward and back. It screeches at you, but it doesn't move forward and returns to its meal. Delicious. You wonder what would happen if you were on foot. Would they let you be satisfied with their prey? Or would they run after you? But if so, for what reason? For now, you have enough space to move forward and stay safe. The powerful jaws of the monster's break the monster's bones loudly, then bite off and swallow a chunk of meat. So, we just move on. Because everything here wants to kill. Oh, speaking of kill. Okay. This plant shouldn't be alive, not without leaves. It doesn't resemble the other trees of the wetlands. It's something else. But you think about the tree you saw in the square in Howler's Dell, but which was much smaller. You get off your horse and prepare your axe. The water is filled with dirt and dead plants, and it smells like an old corpse. The roots are spreading far, breaking through the water surface. You don't see any saurians or grasses at the shore. You approach the table-like altar made from 3 limestone slabs. Were these rocks originally as formless as they are now, or was there a point in time, centuries ago, where they are precisely shaped and decorated by masters of artistry? There's no way to tell. Sodal, peacefully observing the dark grasses and slapping flies with its tail. Whatever it is that you feel in the air, it's clear that your companion sees this place with very different eyes. So go ahead, I'll look around for just a moment, because dusk is in 45 minutes. We don't have much time. Let's look into the water first. You step cautiously without knowing how deep it gets. You have to consider that a saurian could be camouflaged in the mud, waiting for a victim to get near. Since you don't plan to kneel down or drink, you're hoping to dodge a potential strike. Once you get closer, you start breathing in. While the water is dirty, it's shallow, and you see vegetation, swimming insects, and even a fish. All of them stay away from the tree roots, which look like a spiderweb covering the bottom of the pond. Aside from that, you don't see anything that would catch your eye. Let's take a closer look at the roots. You kneel in front of one that's lying on the shore. It's brown, covered with hair that resembles that on your... Ooh, that's creepy. Hair on your own arm. When you touch it, it's moist, soft, and warmer than you'd expect. So what do we... Oh, boy. Okay, I do not want to kick the roots. Let's, stroke. Either you can't do that or I don't understand what that is. Okay, I'm not going to bother with that right now because we're very short on time. Approach the altar. There's clumped dirt and uneven nicks fused by years of winds and rains. The bottom surface of the table is dusty, but you don't find any spider webs or mold, even though it's a perfect spot for them. The tree roots cling to the altar in many spots. They're firmly attached. You struggle to move them even an inch. The cream-colored limestone is cold and smooth. Try to make an offering. Do we have anything to offer? Let's see here. An old blanket. Okay, well, apparently I can't. Okay. It's time to seek shelter. We can go to Howler's Dell. Cool. You ride through the open gate and swiftly dismount. There's too many people around to let Sodal run among them, so let's head to the stables. You spend a few minutes with Sodal before you reach the square. Someone clears their throat. You turn around to see a man in his 50s with large hands and elegant beard, no hair, the stable master. He both introduces himself and answers an unspoken question. You frown, then realize that you indeed saw him before, but your palfrey was nicely taken care of during your first visit to the village. Or rather, I'm one when necessary, but I'd rather grind flour, he says with annoyance. Do you not think your beast waters itself, brings its fodder from the storehouse and clears its own shit now? Time takes time and hay. If this point is that your companion is not going to work for it, you better have a pouch at hand. You look behind him. The stables are not much more than an open shed with piles of planks, 2 donkeys, and a bunch of napping chickens. So would a dragon bone be enough? For one day, that's fair. He looks around, rubbing his hands. We are broke. I'm going to have to find a place to stay. He scowls at you, but points to an empty bucket and steps away. Fill a trough with water from a creek and make sure Sodal is comfortable. You're wandering through the village. The druids won't see me. The tailor's closed. It's too dark to talk about work. I guess I could be doing odd jobs for money. That may not be bad. It's getting dark, and the inn is loud and crowded. The innkeeper lights up the rush lights. The workers drink. The guards are preparing for the night watch. If it wasn't for the presence of the creek and uncanny lack of beggars, this place would feel like Hovlevin's marketplace. Uncanny lack of beggars. Interesting. One of the tables is occupied by a dozen or so kids. None of them look much older than 12, and the youngest one, too dirty to remember or to resemble either a boy or girl, is about 6. They are surrounded by their playthings, a mouflon on wheels, an elegant wooden sword, and a painted board covered with rocks, but they are bored and tired. Even though you only get a glimpse of them, the oldest girl notices your attention. She springs up to her feet and approaches you with a few skips. She's already pretty tall, dressed in a worn, subdued tunic, so long that it looks like a sack. So everybody's clothes suck here. It'd be rude to ignore her, or we could try not to encourage her. So one of the lessons we learned in Creeks is to try to be a little friendlier. Let's try to be a little friendlier. Especially since it's a kid. Come on, man. She pulls her hands together, and she puts her hands together and puts on a grimace of playful misery. Master Roadwarden, hearing such an antiquated salutation makes it difficult for you to hide your smirk. We here, she points to a group. Bored, oh, so bored. She puts the back of her hands on her forehead, letting out a deep sigh. Please, master, tell us a story or two, for each traveler sees with different eyes. The last few words sounds like an echo of an old tale, so Kiera's not going to be a jerk to kids. Make room at the table. The children gather around and ask you for a minute for them to gather their friends and siblings. After a bit of chaos, there's 20 young souls sitting closely to one another on benches, stools, and on the ground. The red-haired twins brought a blanket to lay down on. You have the shorter side of a table all to yourself. The older kids understand your lost look in an instant. They start to hush each other, which causes an even greater amount of noise. But in the end, there are dozens of eyes staring at you with a mixture of boredom and anticipation. So we can tell them about my adventures and tell it exactly as it happened. We can tell about adventures, so spice it up with a few lies, or tell them about Havavon, its mysteries and splendor. Well, I hate Havavon, so I don't want to go there. The story takes quite a bit of time, and at one point gets a bit cruel. The younger kids cover their eyes, which doesn't block their hearing in any way. As you get to the end, the tension disappears. The older kids clap for a bit, keeping their dignity intact, while the younger ones start to laugh and argue loudly about what the best part was of your tale. For some reason, two of the girls start to wrestle, pretending to be two of the characters that you just portrayed. Seeing this, the adults decide to intervene. Well, good job. I've created fighting in the village now. That's why they don't like outsiders, I guess. You stand up, and the children do the same to show you respect. The girl that had previously talked to you thanks you for your time. My pleasure. We're like Chick-fil-A now. Okay, so if we try to go to sleep here, because it is nighttime now. Yeah, one of the issues is that we do have some rations. Ooh, we have a roast chicken. Okay, so that'll feed us. We're just gonna hit the sleep button here. We could pay rent for 2 and recover a little bit of stuff, but we're just gonna sleep and look super dirty here. If my poor horse can't sleep nicely, neither can I. The sounds of rain wake you up briefly. Before you return to sleep, you think about your plans. Riding in the mud is difficult. Soto will have a rough time, especially on the unpaved grounds. Well, shit. It may be a good day to take a break at the end. Well, maybe if I had money. Your first sleep ends, but your usual 1-hour break is instantly disrupted by noise. You stand up, walk to the window, and see the reason for the commotion. A group of workers is also just outside the inn, drinking and laughing. Eric's the innkeeper is among them. You could join them, but if you do so, you won't get a good sleep tonight. And after such a long day, you may end up exhausted. I just want to rest. During your time in Haviland, you learn how to ignore drunken crowds. You can relax and turn to your sleep. Sorry, I know there's more story I could have had there with them talking, but I'm not out here to impress people. Okay, we could sit here if we look at the map. Okay, we can't look at anything that way yet. Let's leave the square. So if we offer services to the guards, what'll it be? Join a group of guards and workers that are meant to remove branches and other obstacles. Keep in touch with the village. It takes about half a day and may get dangerous, and we get 2 more coins with it. Well, that will buy us a lantern. So let's do it. We're already having to worry about stuff here, so we're even uglier, we're even hungrier. Starvation makes you weak in physical struggles. It turns out you didn't have much to do. You get the job done and quickly and with little difficulty. So if we look over here, we're going to eat this and then nourish ourselves by 3. That's good. So there goes our roast chicken. It's gone. Maybe I should have offered that to the altar. All right. So we don't have much else to do here. And we have a little bit of day left. Oh, interesting. So we can go down this way or right this way. Or we can check and see if this path is... Oh, the muddy rain slows you down. Okay. I kind of want to just connect the circle here. Let's see if we can do that. Oh, well, we found a town. Oh, well, spoiler alert, it's a ruined village. Okay. Standing in front of the gate, you hear no voices, no tools at work, no steps. Dozens of birds live among the collapsed roofs. Their fluttering, singing, and squawking is free of worries. If you travel any further, you need to ride around the palisade. Searching the ruins may take a lot of time. You hear a river in the east separated by lush meadow filled with crickets and rodents. Oh my god, am I going to try to bathe myself and get killed again? There are many tree stumps around you, especially in the west, covered with moss and fungi. Okay, we're not going to open the gate. Take a closer look at the gate. Pushed and pulled, it doesn't move an inch. Someone has spread dirt and rocks underneath and around it, seemingly to keep the plank stuck in the ground. I want to open it, but I'm not going to open it. Okay, let's head to the river. I still love how, like, stuff just opens up here as you explore. You see a quenching family of boars, some of them brown, some black. You consider turning back, but they pay you little attention. After a couple of grunts, they run north. The river's not too wide, yet unusually deep, with banks altered by locals for decades, if not centuries. The water is cold and clean, yet filled with long plants growing from the bottom. You would rather avoid jumping inside or drinking from it, but you're tempted to at least wash your face, neck, and hands. Dozens, if not hundreds, of small fish are looking for tasty leaves, but also try to avoid their predators. A dance of life, completely unaware of your presence. You suddenly realize there's something else buried among the kelp, a rusty sickle sticking out of the ground, a couple of stone axes and hoes, the wooden handles, and a large wagon are covered with moss, but you recognize their shapes. Why would someone drop them here? On the opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. Okay. So, that's... Apparently there's something about a fish trap, and I must have just read over it. You place the basket on the ground and grab a bowl and start digging, looking for a few larger worms. You bait and stick and push inside the basket, locking it between the sides, then cover the entrance of the lid. Trying it together takes you a few good moments, but it's easier later on. You attach the entire trap to a bush and push it into the stream far enough that it sinks easily. Who knows how long it'll take before something large enough swims inside. Still, it'd be better not to wait too long, otherwise the prey might die of hunger. Well, that would certainly be awkward. Step away. Let's inspect the clearing to the west. The meadow is lush and colorful, so dense it's unsafe for a rider. A couple of minutes you lead Sodal with the rope, avoiding potential disaster in case of a hoof falling into an animal den, especially with the potential for... What's the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah, rain and mud and everything. Being forced to travel around the palisade every time you get here is going to be a pain. Most of the tree trunks look similar and have a comparable size. They were most likely planted with the sole purpose of being cut down and used by the locals, though cutting so many trees at once, that alone can provoke the wrath of the herds. Such a process should be spread across a couple of seasons, and you can't be sure what was the case. In the west and north, the clearing turns into a wild forest. In the south, you see a path leading along the palisade. I could wash myself in the river. I need at least one piece of bathing equipment. It won't help you much. I wash my face, hands, and neck. It's something. Put on my clothes, and then we go to... it took a little bit of time. Inspect the palisades. Ooh, shit. Okay. The tracks of human footwear and many, many more ape footprints cover the path formed around the palisade's breach. As far as you can tell, the freshest footprints lead to the village. The wooden stakes spread on the ground are rotten, covered in mushrooms, small flowers, insects, and worms. A good source of animal or goblin food, though you'd expect them to also hunt the birds and eggs. The meadow in the west turns in the forest quickly. So I shouldn't enter the forest, especially not in this area. It's incredibly unpredictable. So I could explore the village. Let's look at the northwest part of the village. The colorful grass covers the entire fenced pasture. A large stone placed in the middle suggests it could be a playground for ibexes, or maybe it's just an old garden. In just a moment here. Okay. You see a couple of small sheds, a latrine, and a single building to the south, completely burnt down. All the places were cleaned out by scavengers. Sodal doesn't want to approach the large ruins to the north. The terrible stench of feces and rotting food scares you off as well. Oh, what else is new then? The paths are covered with goblin footprints. It's daytime, so the pack should be asleep. If the beasts were active, they would try to scare you off or hunt you down. This is their territory, and once they wake up, you will face a furious enemy. So we go somewhere else. Quietly. I don't want to really look at the northern gate. Let's look in the main square. In every village, the main square is the fanciest area, meant to charm the travelers. Yet, this is way more than you expected. The houses are as big as in Havelvan. Shit, those are big now that you mention it. And the paved ground looks like it took a lot of work and materials. The walls, now charred and riddled with holes, are made of expensive coated wattle. The tiles for the roofs are also to be brought here from a different settlement. You peek inside the three smaller buildings, the rotting remains of the former splendor. The birds living in dozens of nests respond to your arrival with quite a commotion. You don't find even a single dragon bone, nor a tool or piece of furniture left unbroken or unrotten. You're surrounded by bad smells, dirts, animal droppings, and garbage. Oh boy. The well also stinks. It has no bucket, but you're afraid to use it anyway. Who knows how many birds have relieved themselves inside, or how many old rats have found their death while climbing up the walls. Suddenly you hear the sound coming from the largest building. Your stomach makes you let out a painful groan. We need to get away from here. This all feels dangerous. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the destroyed village in Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest. I don't really like this. I know I should be more courageous. I have my axe, but I feel a little unprepared. Okay, let's look at the southwest part of the village. The buildings, some of which have collapsed, are made of wood, now charred and rotted. You spot claw marks on the walls, especially close to the doors and window frames. They could belong to a dragonling or a large wolf, larger than any of the gray ones, or a corpse eater. Too many options to make a guess. No beast in sight. You find the remains of clothes, furniture, odds and ends. Only one object seems to be used, a basket-like fish trap. Interesting, made of vines and willow branches. If a large fish swims into it, it won't be able to get out of town. So that's fascinating. Was I supposed to get this fish trap first and then set it up over there? Huh. Okay, the closer you are to the village and the longer you stay around, the sicker you feel. The taste of gastric juices hits your mouth, your forehead hurts, you start to stumble. Sottle, worried by the sight, pokes you with its nose. Trust your horse here. Trust your horse. Walk away from the walls. Leaning onto your mount, you go outside, keeping your mouth shut. After a few minutes, your eyes get clear. It may be better to leave, or at least stay away from the village for the rest of the day. So, we've uncovered some of it. I'm glad we didn't run into the people or whatever were knocking around out there. So the fields to the southwest. You're surrounded by what looks like a field plowed in late autumn, disturbed by hundreds of rains and snowfalls. There are a few clumps of grass and wheat, but a place like this one, abandoned for years, should already have turned itself into a green lay. A barren field, maybe it was overused, but you still expect the weeds to sprout. Maybe it's a curse. The path leading west from here ends at the edge of the large field, shifting into a meadow, then a forest. East of here, there's an abandoned building and a road leading south. So we don't have a way to investigate, that's true. Let's look around the southern gate, preferably by not cutting through the town. The gate leading to the village is completely destroyed. The building is almost burnt to the ground. So interesting that the north is blocked off. The south is not. The sound of a gentle river reaches you from the east, where you see a saggy fence surrounding an overgrown pasture. What's in the building near the field? The broken logs and planks are charred, while the wooden walls are rotten and covered in moss. You see no ashes nor dust, proving that the fire happened long ago. The smell is awful, and there are no reasons to stay long. You see no furniture, just some broken shelves. It was just a storage room. The valuable odds and ends were already taken by scavengers. Okay, we're going to move forward, and we're going to look in the pasture in the southeast. Here we go. You don't find a single sign of livestock that lived here in the past. Any bones, horns, antlers, or dung has already been devoured by the wilderness. The pasture ends at the river. On the opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. What are the chances that a herd of defenseless animals could get there and survive? The breach in the southern fence wasn't made by some brute force. You find axe cuts in the spots that were ultimately broken away. After all these years, there's no tracks you could follow. So that's the main road. We can consider washing ourselves in the river. We do have travel here. And it looks like we, I still don't know. I feel like our fish trap should appear in our inventory somewhere. But we know there we set up a fish trap. We set up a fish trap before we got it. So, like I said, let's see if we can complete the circle here. The road downhill meanders, slowing you down and forcing you to pay close attention not only to the shadows of the trees, but also the tight, rocky passages. You can't help but notice a few caves and fine ambush spots. So we keep an outlook for signs of life. Whoa, hey, there's signs of life. Inns like this one only fit in regions traveled by merchants, but you wouldn't expect a place of this size in a forsaken peninsula. The stone and lumber must have been transported from far away, and the workers, guarded by expensive mercenaries, surely lived for many seasons in a primitive hamlet subsisting on salted supplies. There are seemingly no cracks in the wall, and the building was whitewashed only a few years back. The road is wide and beaten. Dozens of souls could hide if not for the buildings. Then, at least in the yard, the expenses and labor put into this fortress were worth many trading ships. 3 armed people are on the ramparts, though you only see what's above their waistline. They're leaning on the parapet right next to the gate, and you think that you notice a glimpse of a smile. They are wearing gabsums, each of them dyed differently, yellow, green, and linen gray. So I approach the gate. A woman in yellow armor leads forward. She has long, curly, disorderly red hair, pointing in every possible direction. This combination of colors doesn't work at all. In the woods, one would have to shout to draw this much attention. There's still a fair distance between the two of you, but she speaks loudly. I haven't seen a horse for years now. I just said that it's weird to see such a large jackass, huh? Her voice is young and strong with an accent that reminds you of the villages around the outside of Havelven. But no jackass would wear a saddle, I'd say. She exchanges a few words with the male guards wearing green and giving you time to move closer. Well, this one here says there really are donkey saddles. Say, traveler, how hard is it to ride a horse? So we could be friendly. How about you give it a try? Playful. I laugh. You wouldn't believe it. The lessons were a pain. We could just be normal. It's easy to learn the basics, but it's tiring. You know, this seems like a better time to make a joke. You get off your horse and imitate the silly... Oh my god, okay, that is not what I was expecting. You get off your horse and imitate the silly walk from the day that followed your first long journey when your whole shell was crying. You illustrate the pain as you move your hand from the back to your hips, then thighs. In return, the guard tells you about the time when they had to carry their friend with bitten off legs for 3 straight days through the heart of the woods. Meanwhile, the other guards open the gate. You may be in a good mood, the woman in yellow jacket smiles, but don't get too noisy when you talk to our boss. The man never smiles. He has the world's suffering sculpted on his face. She leads you under the roof under which your palfrey can rest, tethered with a cord to a wooden post that nobody's charging me for, which is a plus. Once you get ready, go inside and speak with our boss. Maybe you're hungry? Oh, sweet. I could use potentially some more food. The other guards take care of their various chores. They peek at your mount every now and then as if they're and then as they're splitting firewood, cleaning their clothes, weeding the garden patches, and moving chairs. 2 of them are making a rope. You head towards the end, hearing the piercing scream of a boar from the other side of the yard. Oh, look, we're inside now. The open windows fulfill the hall with refreshing air and sounds of conversations. A muscular man is sweeping the floor near the stairs. But after he glances at you, he leans the broom against the wall and heads behind the counter. You're lucky to show up. His voice is deep and soft with a city-like accent. He observes you with keen attention, yet avoids your eyes. I have a keg of decent ale, wormwood, bog myrtle, juniper berries, cat's foot. He fills a mug carefully and puts it on the countertop. Say, cat's foot is one of the cats uses litter box next to me. That's nice. It's going to spoil soon, maybe today, and we don't drink here before the even. I hate to see the good stuff going to waste. His skin is dark, almost purple, rare even among the southern tribes, and his hair is naturally bluish. His clothes are quite fancy for a manual labor. His elegant tunic wouldn't stand out in the city square. So, stand at the counter, I guess, so we're downstairs right now. The planks let out a creak after every step you make, so you slow down a bit. You could swear the innkeeper made little to no noise. Here you go. He pushes the mug forward. But just so you know, my Pelt of the North doesn't belong to Havelven. You can sleep on the floor if you wish so, but if you want a bed and a meal, you'll have to pay. We may have some leftovers from dinner, but I'll need to check. So if this is their boss... Okay, we're not going to do any of this. We're just going to stay. We're just going to play at distance here and hide on. What would the threat be? I'm not here to pay compliments and piss in a mug. Oh my god. God, I just do the Asterian run of being an asshole to everybody. That should be an achievement. I won't stay here for long. I introduce myself. He nods and fills another mug, this time with water. I guess there's no point in waiting for Asterian then. I'm glad to see somebody taking his place. Even my crew here hits the road only if they need to see the healers in Howler's Dell, and they're more than resourceful. A Roadwarden is always going to find work here in the north, though maybe not on the eastern road. Really? Looks like there's plenty of work for me on the eastern... Oh, wow, we actually made the circle. Nice. Eastern road. He takes a mouthful of water and drinks it with a pleased sigh. There are no guests here at this time, or hardly ever. I can take a short break. For a moment, he meets your eyes. Well, he offered the drink, might as well drink. The dark room and wooden walls of the mug make the liquid look as brown as a chestnut. The lay in the spring hits your nose, and the first sip is even too complex, too flowery. While the brewer has used fanciful ingredients, the exotic licorice ruins the aftertaste. Now you know why there's so much left. Maybe it takes an acquired taste. The innkeeper nods. I was hoping to see someone willing to patrol the roads. Maybe you'll help me with a worrying thought I have, which is... There are brigands in the woods. Our place is a stronghold, so I'm not afraid of an open strike. But they've gotten more active in the last 2 years. One day they may steal our furs, and I have no doubt that there's a reason why merchants come here only once. Having bandits around gets expensive. He rubs his hands together, camouflaging his paws. I want you to reach Howler's Dell, northwest from here. It's the largest settlement around, and I'm sure you'll get there sooner or later. Did you not see which direction I rode in from, buddy? Ask Thais, the mayor, about Glaucia, the bloodthirsty wolf of a woman. I've heard rumors about a raid in the north. If Glaucia is ready to break the truce with the locals, I'm willing to join forces with them and get rid of her band. He looks at a nearby dragon bone. Not too difficult, right? Just do it when you have a chance. A couple of days won't make much of a difference. I'll pay you 2 coins when you get back with news. Fine. Oh my god. I'm not gonna... Okay. When I have this much... I have 4. Oh, I probably could have bought a lantern. Maybe I'm going to say to myself that I want to have a little bit of nest egg, since I'm definitely not riding all the way up to here where we'd need the lantern to get into places. Anyway. 2's fine. Great. What else do you need? So we don't need to eat anything right here. Okay. There are some things that I could do, but I'm just trying to look at the time right now. This is probably a decent point to stop. So we've made a whole circle. We've gone to Pelt of the North, which you can tell from kind of the dialogue here is a place that you're expected to go first. The game tries to tell you, don't go east. Don't go east. We went east. We broke the rules, and we thus have a whole bunch of world exploration. We apparently also got a key for this dolmen here, so I do want to go there next time, but I think we have some more business here with this old man gentleman who I don't remember if he gave his name or not. So that's going to do it for this one. This is Asher with Roadwarden. We will pick up here next time where we left off, and we will see if we can ask some people some questions, but tisk. Alright, thanks for watching. Once again, I appreciate you all being here. I know that we are only some time through the game here. We're on day 4. It's going to start going faster once we get through a lot of the introductory stuff. And we're going to be spending some more time as we have to start moving around the map some more. But I am enjoying getting immersed in this game, so hopefully you are too. So, thanks for watching. You all take care. See you next time.